can be overwhelming. Are you ready? There we go. All right, then. We stay. Yes, amen. All right, I chose when he was teaching last week. He did have a uh, what I was thinking about was when his father and his brother just treat him like a stepchild. I mean, like he didn't belong to the family. But I didn't go that route. I went with friendship, since it was things we celebrated with our family, with our friends. So I chose David and Jonathan, and they had an awesome friendship, and it reminded me of my friendship with that my mom had with well, she's my godmom, Frances Parker, but we call her Miss Francis, and she had 4 boys and 1 girl, and my mom had one boy. But as long as I know, they were always friends and like family, you know. And I remember sometimes she'd come over, have coffee with my mom, and it may be cold in the house, and the oven was sitting at the table drinking coffee, and that's how I learned to love Sam Cooke. A couple of my mother's favorite songs were "Change Will Come," and I would think about them just sitting at the table, drinking and laughing, and then we were always there. She was one another. When her kids had lunch we weren't at the age of being able to go have lunch at school by ourselves. It looked like they alternate in terms of her kids would come over our house at lunch. And that's why I like tomato soup today, because it was forever tomato soup and grilled cheese, or tomato soup and hot dog, or cheese and chicken noodle soup. I love chicken noodle soup. But until we got up of age that we can, go to lunch by ourselves and go off the campus by ourselves, they were always compatible. In the past, I remember I stayed with her. She was my comfort. She was because I didn't like to be around people at that myself, and she knew it. Miss Francis never really said anything, but she knew me well enough that Net want to come. I was like, yeah, I want to come. Want to come. And even when we moved, see, like when we were first one moving, she would always find her way still in the vicinity where we were. That kind of connection. So I chose David and Jonathan. And if y'all can go to First Samuel, one of the chapters is First Samuel 18, and the other one will be First Samuel 20.
Excuse me. It's a pop, sorry. Samuel 18.
First Samuel chapter 18. And the other one was First Samuel 20.
Verse.
18. We're gonna read that whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then First Samuel 20, we're gonna read that whole thing. So, like King Saul's son, Jonathan, was David's best friend. And Jonathan and David spent many hours together. I'm looking because just take a break. He just parked there and it looked like his battery went down. It was very close to the King Saul whole family at one time. And again, that reminds me of when what?
You just like stopped.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I saw him because I just saw him parked there. I just saw him parked there. And
He been there a while.
about half an hour to 45 minutes.
That's enough time. That ain't just parked there.
Okay. Rewind back. So when what it said, David was very close to the King Saul whole family at one time. That reminds me of Miss Francis and I. It's like friends become actually family. Good thing. To me, that's how I look at it. Because once you capture my heart as a you, I don't care how far you are, you're gonna be. You my. But Jonathan learned that his dad wanted him to kill David. He wanted David to flee or run. And that's where I want to go now at 1 Samuel 20. Samuel chapter 20. If anybody feel led to read, go right ahead.
And David fled from there and came and said before Jonathan, what have I done? What is mine iniquity? And what is my sin before thy father, that he seeketh my life? Excuse me, let me change the okay. Jonathan told him, far from it. You won't die. Look, my father never does anything greater for me. So why should my father hide this thing from me? It's not like that. David again took an oath. Your father certainly knows that I found favor with you. And so he told himself, Jonathan must not know this, so he won't be upset. But as certainly as the Lord is alive and living, and as certainly as I'm alive and living too, there is only a step between me and death. Verse 4. Jonathan told David, whatever you say, I'll do. David told Jonathan, look, the new moon is tomorrow, and I'm expected to sit down with the king to eat. Let me go so I can hide in the field until the evening after the day after tomorrow. If your father actually notices that I'm not there, then you are to say, David urgently requested that I allow him to run to his hometown because the entire family was taking place there. If he says good, then your servant will be saved. But if he actually gets angry, you will know that he will. Now show gracious kindness to your servant, because you have entered into a sacred covenant with your servant. If there is iniquity in me, then kill me yourself. Why should you bring me to your father? Nonsense, Jonathan replied. If I actually knew that my father intended evil against you, wouldn't I tell you about it? Then who will tell me if your father answers you harshly? Then Jonathan told David, come, let's go into the field. So the two of them went into the field. Jonathan told David, the Lord God of Israel is my witness, that I'll carefully question my father by tomorrow or the next day. And if the response is favorable for David, will I not then send word to you and let you know? But if my father intends to harm you, may the Lord strike me dead if I don't let you know and send you away so you may go safely. May the Lord be with you as he has been with my father. If I remain alive, don't fail to show me the Lord's gracious love so that I don't die. And I don't stop showing your gracious love to my family forever, not even when the Lord eliminates each of David's enemies from the surface of the earth. Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David. May the Lord punish any violation of this covenant by the hand of David's enemies. Jonathan made David vow again out of his love for him, because he loved him as himself. Jonathan told him, tomorrow is the new moon, and you will be missed because your seat is empty. On the third day, go down quickly and come to the place where you hid earlier. Remain beside the rock at Ezel. I'll shoot 3 arrows to the side of the rocks as though I was shooting a target. Then I'll send by the arrows. If I specifically say to the servant, look, the arrows are on the side of you, get them, then come out because it is safe for you. And as surely as the Lord lives, there is no danger. But if I say to this young man, look, the arrows are behind you, then go, for the Lord has sent you away. As for the matter you and I spoke, remember the Lord is a witness between us forever. David hid in the field. Then the new moon arrived, and the king sat down to eat. The king sat down in his place as before, in the seat by the wall. Jonathan stood while Abner sat next to Saul, but David's place was empty. Saul didn't say anything until something has happened. He's unclean. Surely he's not clean. But the next day, on the second day of the new moon, David's place was empty. So Saul told his son Jonathan, why didn't Jesse's son come to the festival either yesterday or today? Jonathan answered Saul, David urgently requested that I let him go to Bethlehem. He said, please let me go because our family has a sacrifice in the town, and my brother has ordered me to come. Now, if it's acceptable to you, please let me get away so I can. That's the reason he didn't come to the king's table. Saul flew into a rage and told Jonathan, you son of a perverse and rebellious woman. That was their way of cussing, I guess. Sorry. Don't I know that you have chosen Jesse's son to your shame and to the shame of your mother who bore you? As long as Jesse's son lives on the earth, neither you nor your kingdom shall be established. Now send someone to bring David to me. He's a dead man. And why should he be killed? What did he do? Then Saul threw a spirit beside him to strike Jonathan down. So Jonathan realized that his father was determined to kill David. So on the second day of the new moon, Jonathan angrily got up from the table without eating because he was upset about David and because his father had. In the morning, Jonathan, accompanied by his servant, went out to the field for the appointment with David. Jonathan told his servant, "Run, find the arrow that I'm shooting." As the servant ran, Jonathan shot the arrow behind him. The servant came to the place where Jonathan had shot it, and Jonathan called out to him, "The arrow is behind Jonathan's servant. Hurry, be quick, don't stand around." Jonathan's servant picked up the arrow and brought it to his master. The servant was not aware of anything, only Jonathan what had happened. Then Jonathan gave his equipment to the servant who was with him and told him, "Go take these things to the city." The servant went out. Then David came out from the south of the rock, fell on his face, and bowed down 3 times. The men kissed each other, and both of them cried, but David even more. Jonathan, peace, since both of us swore in the name of the Lord, may the Lord be between me and you, and be my descendant, and between me and you, and between my descendants and your descendants forever. Then David got up and left while Jonathan went to the city.
Amen. Amen. Now that's friendship. That's love. I like that. And that's your father. Oh, that man crazy. He's just madman. But the fact that he was loyal to David, he didn't want him killed. He didn't see any reason why he should be killed, other than his father was just jealous of him. He didn't, got it. They say the baton to him, and he knew that it's coming to an end. You weren't doing what you're supposed to do anyway as the king. So this relationship, they looked out for one another. And I don't want to be repetitive, but I may hear some what's in here in my notes. So bear with me, please. So David and Jonathan were close friends, even through adversity. Even after David became king, Saul was dead. He treated the family of Jonathan with great kindness. And I was reading about that. Because in the culture, whoever's king, whoever comes up to be king, they usually wipe out the whole family because they didn't want anybody in that family to be the next one on the throne. So that was right there. That's loyalty. That's like, man, he kept his covenant. His word was bond, as we would say. David was a guy of integrity. Of course, he had some little stuff. But that's I ain't gonna say that's all right, but still, his heart was right. He messed up. He would go to the Father and it's like, I messed up, forgive me. And he like, this is, as they say, after his own heart. He believed, even though he messed up, he was able to still go to him and say, I messed up, Lord, I repent, get me back on the right track. And God had mercy, and talking about mercy and grace, because I'm sure God could have took David out of many a time for the stuff that he did, but I'm talking about David and Jonathan's friendship right here. I ain't gonna go on anybody else's lesson. David escaped from King Saul with the help of Jonathan. He continued on the run for several years. On at least 2 occasions, he had the opportunity to kill Saul and take the throne that had already been promised to him by God. But Jonathan's loyalty toward David defended King Saul toward his followers. No, that don't make sense. Jonathan's loyalty towards him is David. He defended David. So King Saul told his followers to kill, as we was reading. And King Saul told his followers to kill David. Jonathan rebuked his father and recalled David's faithfulness to him in killing in Goliath. And I didn't know that either. Even when I didn't know that when King Saul asked somebody to kill Goliath, that he promised him a gift. I think he promised him one of his daughters, and he didn't. When was that, Abraham or something? Between Leah and Rachel, they kept saying, "Do 7 more years." Do this is what reminded this is he was just he wasn't right,
He gave him his daughter.
huh?
He gave him his daughter.
He gave his daughter.
He gave Michael. That was the one who got messed up before the Lord.
Oh, okay.
He gave him his daughter.
But
And he
he didn't give it to him give it to her right away, did he?
he gave it to him and then took up she was at home.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was another he was supposed to get a seat in the kingdom, which obviously he got because he was at the feast table.
Okay.
He got some of it, but he still
He didn't get all that was promised to
He
him.
got what was promised to him. But remember, the problem came in because remember, he thought David was the best thing since sliced bread at first. When the women of the village were singing, "Oh, Saul has killed thousands, but David has killed 10,000." So he again allowed what other people were saying about him to cause him to be jealous of him and start to feel like, "Oh, he has to my seat." Because he has something that he can do. And then at that point, remember, he already had gotten the visit from Samuel telling him, "You done disobeyed God, you ain't king no more." In God's eyes, he's going to raise up another king. So he was looking over his shoulder all the time at that point. But when it behooved him to use David, he wanted to use David, but he didn't want to.
He didn't want to give him his props. He didn't want to acknowledge.
He was jealous. And he was so, you know how when people already got problems, every little thing is a big thing. Every little small thing becomes big. It's like, oh, you sit next to somebody and somebody come up and say, "Oh, your shoes are so cute. My shoes ain't cute." Oh, you trying to say that I don't look as nice. It's like, okay, you took something that wasn't even supposed to go like that and put it in a whole nother situation. You know what I mean? It was that type of thing.
Okay.
He had
Insecurity and stuff going on there. For a king, you can't be like that. But he human.
But he started out insecure, remember?
Man, audience, I'm frowning because Saul is a mess. So like, I just don't believe how some people act towards your own kin. Your own.
Who been helping you?
We already read the plan concocted by Jonathan to rebuild his father's David. And Jonathan was going to practice this is what you already read, but the archery. He told his servants that the arrows he shot that would be on the side of the target. David was saved. Jonathan told the servant that behind the target, David was to leave and not return. And Jonathan told the servant the arrows were behind the target, meaning David to flee, need to get up on out of there. Again, truth and truth, and go back to the true friendship, the loyalty, as I was stating, and you're gonna make some sacrifices, and there's gonna be some compromises, and there's gonna be some emotional attachment, as you see in First Samuel 18, how when he told them you had to go, it really hurt each other because they were true friends. They were, like Scripture said, the soul. I can't find it right now. It's like his soul, they was connected. I mean, if you would think that they came through what you call twins. They was attached at the hip kind of thing. So it really hurt that he had to leave, but he was looking out for his brother. And as I was stating earlier, we are our brother's keeper. That what we're supposed to lay out, lay our lives down for our brother, but he was worthy. David was worthy to lay your life down for, because he was such a good guy. He was such a good friend. Jonathan likewise. But to go against your father, I keep going back that father and son relationship. It was really janky. mean, you would go over, you would, it, I'm surprised, and I haven't read it, I don't read it, but I would think, well, he did throw the javelin at him. I was like, I don't know if he threw it, I knew he threw it intentionally, but I don't know if he was getting his attention or really wanted to kill his own son, but who knows, because Saul was mad. I mean, not mad, but he was mad, psychologically. So the friendship between David and Jonathan wasn't conventional, not conventional, but I see the word, but I can't say the word. When you, a covenant. Thank you. They had a covenant relationship. We read that in 18. Yeah, you know, I was thinking like back in the day when you cut yourself.
I'm like, how did you slave?
No. You know, Indians. So David and Jonathan formed an agreement. In this agreement, Jonathan was second. And Jonathan was to be his second in command in David's future reign. And David was to be protected. David was to protect Jonathan's family. And we read that already. We have it 20, if somebody can read that for me.
You mean 18?
1 Samuel 20.
We just read that. We didn't read 18.
Oh, 18 then. I thought we read 20.
We read 20.
I'm so sorry, I meant to read 18 first, but go ahead. Read 18, please.
Okay. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And
Yes,
Saul took him that day, and would let him go no more home to his father's house. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him, and gave it to David, and his garments, even to his sword, and to his bow, and to his girdle. And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. And it came to pass, as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the women came out to the cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul with timbrels, with joy, with instruments of music. And the women answered one and said, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000s, and to me they've only ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom? And Saul eyed David from that day forward. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house. And David played with his hand as with the other times, and there a javelin in Saul's hand. And David cast the javelin, and Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I will smite David even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. And Saul was afraid of David, because the Lord was with him, and was departed from Saul. Therefore Saul removed him from him, and made him his captain over 1,000, and he went out and came in before the people. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. Therefore, when Saul saw that he had behaved himself very wisely, he was afraid of him. But all Israel and Judah loved David, because he went out and came in before them.
Okay, you can stop there. And that's where you was mentioning how, I forgot my, when,
David 10,000 Saul.
yes, thank you. So, and Jonathan gave David his military gear, and the significance of this gift was that recognized that David will one day be king of Israel, rather than being envious or jealous like his crazy. Jonathan submitted to God's will and sacrificed his own throne. So even with friendship, you do go through adversities, as I was saying early. And to research the top, to reach the top, you're going to go through some valleys. And your valley is the adversity, even with your friends. You may have some questions for the Father, like, Lord, like even with what I like about, not to digress, what I like about David, we just read that there was a little fear, but he seemed like he was fearless. There's so many things that he did, and I know because he knew who he was and whose he was, so he was confident that the Father was always going to be there for him. So fear didn't really come to him like it will come to, some of us would want to allow it to attach on us, and I know we don't do that anymore. We don't do that anymore. But David was fearless. I mean, he was after God's own heart. He was just I have to go back. I would love to have been a friend of David. He was a writer. He wrote most of the songs, like 75% of the songs in the Bible. So he had as they say, he had it going on in all aspects of his life. I read that he had many sons and daughters. It was a lot of them, man, but he was a king. He can afford it. He can afford it. I saw that list of sons and daughters. I was like, whoa, David. Anyhow, I digress. I'm thinking about today. You can't be having all them kids and you can't afford them. Shoot. Anyway, with adversity, Jonathan and David, they were brothers. But if David was in the valley, he knew God was there all the time. He would, say a word. That's why our word come in when we get into that place. That's why we should study our word, study our scripture, because that get us out of that place where our minds can't think two thoughts. So we replace what's the deal is going on with us that's getting to that place that we shouldn't be or don't want to be. I'll put it that way, that we want to be. The scripture does a wonderful thing to get you out of that place and uplifts and get you back on the path and get you back on board. Okay, it is of the Lord's mercy that we are not consumed, because his compassion fail not. This is scripture. I'm sorry, I didn't get out of scripture. I was trying to go to a place where when you get in that place where woe is me, or everything turning all right, what's going on, what did I do, all of that, you can refer to different scriptures. And what is it, Lamentation? Is that how you pronounce it? Lamentation 3:22 to 24. The Lord's mercies, that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, said my soul. Therefore will I hope in him. Hallelujah. And we are our brother's keeper. We are our brother's keeper. I remember I hear sometimes people say, I was like, we are our brother's keeper. And Romans 10:12 says, be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Honor one another above yourselves. And that's why I chose David, because he is a friend, a true brother. I'm finished.
That's not a proper closing.
I'm sorry. I've completed my lesson. I chose David because he was true in law and sacrifice, and that's what we should be if we are really true. We may have to sacrifice, we definitely need to be loyal to one another if we call ourselves one another friends. and be there if we can. We can't say you can't be there, and be honorable and have integrity with your friendship, and just be a true friend. Be what you can be. I know we're not all things to all, but we can be a friend to one another. Amen. Questions, y'all?
I don't have a question. I have a statement.
Go ahead.
And I think the reason why David was a good friend is because he knew one of the best examples to be a friend, and that was Jesus. He knew God closely. You know, he was willing and just as the word said, he was the man. So because of that, I think that's what made him a good friend, because God is awesome, the awesome role model of how to be a friend.
Amen. But I had something to piggyback on yours, but I lost my train of thought.
Next time, write it down. Why do you think I keep tape all the time? Write it down. Don't lose it. We need it. Bring it back. Though.
Oh, and I think I had already repeated it, but he had so much. He knew who he was. He knew who his father was. He didn't doubt the Father. So he had confidence in any and everything that he did. I believe he knew that if there was any kind of adversity, any kind of war that was going to take place, anything that was coming against him, he had faith and understanding that his Father was going to get him out of that. And I think that's faith. That's a powerful stuff. If you just if we can walk or should walk in that every day and not be fearful to be able to take on new challenges, knowing that he's there. He said, yeah, I got it. You know, you don't have to do it alone. We don't have to walk alone, as the song said. You don't have to walk alone.
Hallelujah.
Because he has shown us that he's been faithful. We've been in some messes and he got us out of it. You know, why depend on him totally with ourselves and with our lives and with our stuff? Because it's not our stuff. It's his stuff. He allowed those things, to have that person, to be in that relationship. It's all him.
I'll add. One of the things that, as you were talking, that I kept hearing, which is something this morning, was talking about in conjunction last week, talking about how the rejections of our lives and things like that, rather than allowing them to stifle us, how God is really using those things to build us and create and all that other type of stuff. But we see here again, aside from the friendship piece, but just in the through, even in his friendships, how God allowed him to find a balance of comfort. Because sometimes what we'll do is we'll build up spiritually, and then we don't have the balance on the natural end, that we do well naturally. You know what I mean? We, as they used to say, we're so heavenly minded with no earthly good. Friend of God, but you can't be a friend of me. You know what I mean? And those type of people get on your nerves, because it disqualifies what you're saying. Right. To the people you're supposed to be mentored through your life. And so it really was a demonstration of balance, and even again how God will take the pursuits of the enemy, not only help train us and teach us, but balance us out in the process, because he didn't go around, hiking himself up saying, I'm the next king, and look at what I'm doing, and all this type of stuff. He was humble. He kept calling himself, he kept telling Jonathan, I'm your servant. Make this covenant with your servant. He still was humble in those opportunities every time he had a challenge, because he maintained humility, godly humility, and kept the right perspective and the right mentality that, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers from them all. That, I'm going through this, but I'm going to do what's right. Even when they kept saying he was going out and he acted wisely. He didn't necessarily have to do that. He could have chosen other things. And how God, when we do things well, in spite of how we feel and the opportunities that we have to choose other stuff, how when we obey the plan of God, how he always takes care of us. That didn't mean he didn't go through all he went through, but in the process, many of the afflictions of the righteous, but he delivers from them all. That's one thing. But then that, again, I've been thinking about over and over again, is how our comfort sometimes will dumb us down and dull us out. And the other day, he was talking about his mom. And my father is, from his mother, one of 10 children. And my grandmother never had a husband, never had any help in the household, which you all know as well. But he was saying, we would have stuff like cake and, for dessert and stuff like that. And he said most of the kids in the neighborhood, they didn't have the benefit of dessert. And even though you didn't have like meat on the table all the time, but you would have beans and some type of dessert, little luxuries. And so he was saying how it amazed him how, he said, my mother must have been a genius to be able to figure out $140 a month, take care of 10 people, plus herself, and they had a dog. Why you do that, I don't know. But anyway, so he was saying, she must have been a genius. And so I kept going over and over and over in my mind. And then today I was thinking, I think I told you more than this. I did something about a month and a half ago. And I called myself making things easier for me. And I switched my auto pay from my mortgage over to the mortgage company from the bank. But I forgot to cancel the other auto pay. So my mortgage was coming out twice. And I kept saying, where's my money? Where's my money going? But it took a while to go and look and see where my money was going. Because I kept saying, maybe I'm overspending in another aspect of my budget. I'm just going to have to watch this. But what I recognized was how modern comforts and luxuries dumb us down. Mm-hmm. I would have never let that go before when I was big. Mm-hmm. Never that would have gotten so far. But I kept thinking about how, again, we take advantage of the modern conveniences that we have, mm-hmm. but in the process, spiritually, we have all these modern luxuries. Spiritually, it dulls us down the same way. Because first of all, how many of you all, I'm stopping me. How many of us know 5 people's phone numbers by heart? Mm. That was never the case 20 years ago.
No, all right. And that was one thing I was real good.
That was the case. I can remember my first phone number, but I don't know that phone number. I don't know my own father's phone number, and I talk to him every day. Okay, Google, call Dad. I know how to do that. So these modern luxuries, you see what it just did?
It's down you there.
It called Dad.
Calling Dad. I ain't pushed the button. And so I didn't really intend to do that.
708-957-2102. That's my childhood phone number.
Wow.
I don't even know my own home phone number.
Me either.
I don't know the number to my own home phone number. I know my cell phone.
I always have to look it up.
I know it starts with a 7. I don't know any of those things. And how, again, when he was saying that, and again, I was processing it, the Lord kept allowing it to go over and over in my head. And I'm like, well, God, what is going on with that? He was saying it wasn't so much that but she had to rely on the Spirit of God to figure stuff out. Mm-hmm. How to make stuff work. Mm-hmm. And when you're in those tight places where you don't have all the modern comforts and modern luxuries and accesses and things like that, it causes you to depend more and rely more on the Holy Ghost. And so whereas now we're so quick to say, oh, okay, something's going wrong, I can solve it with my money, or I can solve it with my natural skills, or I can put this on it, I can do that, rather than our normal inclination being before we had all these accesses and comforts to be, okay, God, how you want me to do this? How is this supposed to go? And so again, it puts us even in the lesson, to be able to recognize the value and the benefit of sometimes being in places of starvation. Because those are the places where we allow the Spirit of God allow the Spirit of God in us to kick in overdrive, rather than us just saying, oh, I got that. Oh, it's not powerful. Because it's so easy. when we're comfortable and when we're in autopilot versus it is a lot less time consuming to put all this stuff on autopay versus, but it ended up costing me time, costing me money, costing me headache, heartache, angst, all kinds of craziness because of that comfort that I tried to employ. And we do the same things in our spirit life because rather than asking the Lord, what am I supposed to do about so and so and so and so in every aspect of our living? What am I supposed to do with this extra $30 that I have now a month? What am I supposed to do now with this this new opportunity that I see in my face? It looks good. Our mind would say, "Oh, this is the door God opened. I can run through this mug," rather than saying, "God, is this the door you're opening?" Because again, if we just run in it, we get our face busted. We looking like, "God, what did I do? Help me, help me, help me." Versus if we go in the door, knowing that we still get our face busted, we like, "God, okay, you told me to do this, so some kind of way you gonna make this work. You're gonna bless this. You're gonna make this right, and you're gonna cause me to prosper in this because this is what you told me to do." We have some footing and something to stand on versus just leaning to our own understanding. So again, that was what I kept thinking. It numbs out our spirit man. But David, again, in every process that he was allowing himself to walk in the spirit in, that's how he could have the confidence to say, "Many are the afflictions of the righteous."
Yeah.
You know, because otherwise he'd been like, "I'm just a dummy. I'm just a dummy. I make poor decisions. I'm jacked up." You know, people always after me. He didn't take those, you know, he didn't take that. But he was wise enough to recognize that there's danger ahead of me. I have an enemy. He wasn't, you know, he was discerning enough to be honest about that because sometimes we don't like to do that either. We don't like to be honest about our enemies. And in the process of being honest, that don't mean we get a chance to make our enemies pay. Sometimes we want to do that. But we have to, again, employ the wisdom of God and seek his face and really ask him questions.
There was a point where David had an opportunity to, at one point, kill Saul.
Yes, he did.
When he was
Yeah,
in that cave.
Yeah.
Right. And I like when Saul, who was there with him? Absalom, somebody was with him. He took with him to get the jar and get the water, or as a spear or somebody. And he was like, "I could kill him. Just let with one." Yeah. So they were like, "No, leave him alone," you know. And I wondered, how did they? I was picturing it as a movie. I was like, how did they get in there? And you got all these military men, and nobody heard a rock or a tweet, step on a branch or nothing. The Lord had put them in a deep sleep. I was like, "God, you awesome. You are awesome." Just the two of them in there, they could get all wanted done. But he was. God is awesome. That's all I got to say. When he left out of there, I read somewhere said the cave was like acoustic. I use my hands a lot. I just say acoustic. I'm using acoustic.
Right.
A good time. And Saul was able to heal. And he was like, "Well, how you get my, that jar of water?" And I think did he take his spear or his javelin? I was like, that's just to tell you, I could have took you out, went right then and there, but the Lord said, "No, not yet, or don't do it." And I like when he said he didn't want anybody, any servant, any of them to touch him because the Lord was going to take care of him on his own terms. So God is good. God is great.
I thought it was wonderful too how it wasn't that he just said don't touch him, but he said this is the Lord's anointed. And so it's like, but the Lord, you had already told him he ain't anointed, he ain't the king no more. But once you belong to God, and my dad used to say this all the time, and I was like, I don't like the way that sounds. But he used to say that's God's devil. So the mentality is, again, everything belongs to God.
You see, I would have thought once he knew he was going to be dethroned or the Lord is going to pass, as I say, the time, I would think he would lose. That name would no longer.
He had the choice.
That name would no longer be upon him. But it's like they said, don't touch my anointed one.
and doing no harm. So I thought that was wonderful because it's like, you know, and it for me, it put it in perspective because even those who we feel like we have a right to retaliate against, that's God's child. That's God's people. I don't have a right. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I will repay. So since that's your people and them your devils, and them your demons, have at your devils and demons, I'm gonna keep my hands off. You know, and it David was an awesome example. You talk about somebody, an excellent example, walking in the spirit so you don't fulfill the lust of the flesh. Because I'd have killed all of them.
I'm like, man, because he had it like that.
Thank you.
Well, I hope y'all enjoyed that, got some out of it, and not only get some out of it, be a participant. I just told my brother I was a participant of it.
Did everybody do their homework from last week? Thank you, Annette.
Welcome.
Round of applause.
Class.
Did you have any homework?
No homework.
Sucker. You'll learn.
In school, and I said I wanted to be a teacher. My first thing I was so excited about is I can give out homework. My first class, they paid so heavily. I was giving out homework all the time in my first class. That's all I was. Yeah.
I would have been teaching no homework. If you can't do it in class, then
Oh no, you have to have something to reinforce what you taught. That's the quality of a good educator. Reinforce. Did everybody do their homework from last week? Ayana, our resident overachiever number 1.
she came in and gave it to
2 whole pages. The only thing I'll say critically about it is she did not use different color pens. Color codes on her homework. I'm like, yeah, you got too much time with your hand, man.
Allison. Cut this off.
Yeah.
So hold it up if you did it.
I got TV land.
You did